guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be talking about the second seminar for HSOC 591. And today was just a reflection on what global health means, an introduction to what One Health means, and there was just some really great discussion that kind of got the gears turning, so to speak, about how to really conceptualize global health in both an abstract way but also in a more practical way. So I wanted to address three main points or three main aha moments that I had that really allowed everything to come together in a nice kind of concise package for me to really process and apply to my future learning. So the first point that I wanted to talk about is the concept of responsibility or obligation for global health. So who's responsible for addressing some of the main concerns? Who is responsible for operationalizing policy? And then whose responsibility is it to actually put those operations and those policies into practice? So we had a really great TED Talk today, and he talked a lot about how this one individual in a remote village in Cameroon isn't necessarily responsible for solving the problem of an HIV transmission line from his bushmeat hunting. And to me, I think that was like a really important concept to understand, in that how are we going to assess and address the problems that are resulting in the necessity to hunt bushmeat. But as one of the colleagues in class had mentioned, is that it kind of came with a colonial tone. So my aha moment really had to do with an understanding that obligation needs to remove the colonial aspects from both ends, so that we're not placing responsibility on one particular group of developed country organizations. We also don't want to place this burden on developing communities where they have the responsibility to solve their own issues, or on the other hand, we don't necessarily think they have the capacity to solve their own issues. So it really has to do with this partnership idea that I'm sure we'll be exploring as we go forward in this course. The second thing I wanted to talk about is the idea of a priority shift. So at what point in time are we going to consider an issue to be a global health issue? So we see in the TED Talk this understanding of HIV and how it kind of came to light in the 1940s in terms of an epidemic spread. But it wasn't until the 1980s where communities really started to take action. So at what point are we going to consider a problem to grow to a point where we need to start addressing it? So I think in moving forward, my aha moment is going to be definitely an understanding of prioritizing concerns, but also addressing a concern for what it actually is, and for the fact that all individuals are equal and all deserve an equitable opportunity for health. So the third thing that was really an aha moment for me was when we were talking at the beginning of the seminar about health being understood as a human right. And what I really started to think about, some things that have really started to click for me, are this idea of normative judgments. So what is more of a value judgment as compared to what is a fact, and how we're seeing almost a connection that's inseparable between rights and health. I'm trying to really process in my mind at what point something is considered to be a human right, and who has the authority to kind of place that value on something as intrinsic as health and well-being, and where that kind of leaves us in terms of priority or in terms of goal setting, as we see with the Millennium Development Goals and the Sustainable Development Goals more recently. So if all of those 17 goals are priorities or some targets that countries have to work towards, there must be an intrinsic value placed on them. So it's this conceptualization for me and this aha of, okay, so we have this goal, and what does that mean? Well, it means that it's in effect related to this normative kind of understanding of what a right actually is. So thank you for joining me in this week's seminar reflection. I'm super excited to address more of the history of global health next week, but for now, some of these fundamental concepts have really set the stage. So thank you, and tune in next week.